Greetings, Mandos, and welcome back to the Book of Vinzer Flinn. We're going to talk about Book of Fett Episode 5 with some of the gang today, and then afterwards, you may want to stick around for a little mental health thing that cropped up in my Facebook memories last year. I'm well settled into my winter hibernation at Steelhaven, but Raina and I did venture out long enough the other day to get our vaccine boosters. I have completed getting all 3 of them now, so if COVID finds its way to me, I will be well armored on the inside as well as the outside. Okay, let's get right to the crew lounge today and join Raina, Merritt, and Cryus to discuss the future of all things Mandalorian.
So this week on Mandalorian Season 2.5.
I know, right?
I'm just worried that Boba is about to become a sidekick in his own show. You know what I mean?
You know, there's a lot of that sentiment going around right now, but I feel like with 2 episodes to go, we are going to get Boba Fett riding a Rancor fucking eating people. You know, like the badassery is going to not be in question by the end of the season.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be in question now, but it fucking is, because fans are never, they're impossible to please.
Pretty much.
I was surprised they gave him a whole episode, though.
Yeah, like last time we talked about how we figured he was going to show up because, you know, the nod to the Mandalorian music, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't expect here's an entire hour-long episode of just the Mandalorian.
with some pretty serious repercussions for his season 3, I would think, with what happened with the duel and the Darksaber and all that shit.
It very much felt like, you know, when they do that, when they're going to introduce a new series and they kind of have that episode where they like bring the person in to tie them into the new series, like
it's a reverse backward pilot.
Except not the case, but it was like, I don't know. I guess maybe they wanted to expedite things for the Mandalorian so that I don't know.
I don't know if it was so much expediting, or and like Cry said last time, these shows were filmed way ahead of time, so it's not like they brought in Din because they thought ratings were failing. And I was like, oh, why is Din, I mean, I love Din, but why is he getting a whole episode? It seems like too much focus. But then I was like, you know what? As Phoenix told me earlier, we now have, or will have, 3 Mandalorian shows, and they're basically all the same part of a part of the same tapestry. They're gonna show up on each other's shows. So, like, you know, Fett's gonna show up in Mando season 3 at some point. So it's all like one big show to me. So now, when I thought of that, I didn't mind Din having a whole episode.
I think they wanted to underline Bo-Katan as well, which was cool. I'm glad they did. Kind of like, and they did the, you know, she wasn't always kind of awesome. Bit the backstory, which was good.
There was a bunch of cool things in this episode, Meredith, that made us think immediately of you. Not the least of which was Din fucking chopping that guy's head off.
That made me think of me. See?
Yeah, Raina's like, he pulled a Merida, and I was like, he did.
I'm like, it's like I'm the only person that figured this is the most expedient way to prove that you've got a body. I know.
But the other thing, even more than that, was the armor so cool, even though, you know, part of this unbending sort of cult, Mandalorian cult. But
and
like, I don't like the armor now.
Know,
she's too rigid and too culty.
Back and forth. Wait a minute, does that mean you think I'm too bendy and not rigid? Wait, how did we segue into that anyway? Like, wait a minute. No, before we were like a couple of things that made us think of you, Merida, and then you were like bounty hunter bag, and then there was never a number 2, and then it was the armorer.
I didn't. You did. I'm talking the armorer.
Anyway, I know a few people have been bouncing around that she is somebody that we already have met.
I don't know.
A couple of people have suggested previous Mandalorians that we've met.
My big thing is I feel like it's just a case of Rey all over again. Everybody wants her to be somebody we already know. I think she's just a leftover Death Watch person who survived the siege of Mandalore and escaped back to Concord Dawn or whatever. I think she was a Maul loyalist. and then escaped back to Concord Dawn while Rebels was going on, and then once presumably Bo and Clan Ren, etc., rebelled against the Empire, and then the Empire decided to glass the planet, which was cool to finally see, by the way. Also got some kick-ass TIE bomber footage.
I'm with you on that, Christ. I don't necessarily think she's anyone we've seen before, but I do think the Zabrak spikes in her helmet are significant in some way yet to be revealed, which will probably be Maul or something.
Yeah, no, I don't think she was anybody. I think she's just a character. I don't know. I find sometimes Star Wars fans get a little bit obsessed with, oh my god, they must be such and such's son, grandson, daughter, cousin, boyfriend's fifth cousin twice removed. We're allowed to have new characters, people. Like, it was definitely nice to start the episode with the first line being, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. That was definitely nice.
That might have made me happy.
This was basically fan service the episode. There was really only like 5 minutes of action in this entire episode, like right at the start where he takes on the Clantunians or whatever they were. And then I guess maybe there was the Darksaber fight, but like, can you imagine if this was Boba doing all these things? People would still be complaining about it.
Oh, absolutely. And I guarantee the ones that are sticking to their guns, even if we do see Boba riding around on a Rancor biting heads off, they're still going to complain. The big thing that surprised me with Din is that kind of expected him to be doing something with Bo-Katan or the Mandalorians to the furtherance of reuniting Mandalore or whatever. But no, he's like back to bounty hunting and looking for other Mandalorians and stuff. But it felt like he was just kind of went back to his normal life kind of thing, and I expected something else, I guess.
Yeah, like I figured he would end up. I didn't think I knew we'd probably see the armorer eventually because they had to let us know kind of how that played out, but I didn't think we'd see him going back like that.
Why wouldn't we? He completed the mission that she put him on, and then he goes back to his plan. I mean,
I just feel like he learned so much. Like, he saw the world. He saw that the buckets were like, I don't understand, I guess, why he needed to come home so much. I don't know.
Sort of a metaphor for where you try to go home and then it's not the same, and then you end up leaving again and it's worse.
I guess. Because, I mean, I like the fact that during the fight, and you just knew that was coming. And, like,
the challenge?
Yeah. Like, after she established that she knew the history of the Darksaber and, all of that stuff, that you just knew.
Once Paz heard that, he's like, oh, really? Well, all right.
Yeah. And I'm like, aw, Muffin. And then, again, as we've learned in Star Wars, nobody has any fucking guardrails. Nobody. Nothing anywhere.
How about the environment that we got introduced? We've never seen anything like this in Star Wars, this sort of Halo ring world thing with the underbelly. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was like a really cool Star Wars place.
It also doesn't surprise me on Earth that there's under-rigging underneath the ring that has no railings or safeties.
Like, I mean, why bother? I guess is what it comes down to at that point. Like, why? Who's inspecting it? Nobody.
You fall off, they're never going to find your body. You fall for 1,000 miles.
Right?
At what point does the artificial gravity not exist anymore and you just float?
So during the fight with Paz Vizsla, Din cuts the fuck out of himself with the saber and injures himself. He's limping the rest of the episode.
That made me happy, because nobody ever fucks up with the lightsaber.
I know, right? It was refreshing to see.
This is like the first time, I don't want to say ever, because I couldn't speak to every single episode of Rebels. Okay, sorry, let me rephrase it. This is the first time we've ever seen a non-Jedi attempt to use a lightsaber in combat. Because I guess we saw Han cut the tauntaun open. But like...
And Sabine, trained with it. But you mean that was training. So... Yeah.
But they kept the lore on the Darksaber, like, it's heavy, it's hard to wield.
But it's also interesting that the armorer knew that much of it. Like, knowing the history is one thing, because everybody knew the history and what happened.
Vizsla would have had it when she was a Death Watch member.
Yes. Oh, I know. But that the armorer is all like, you're fighting against it. That's why it feels so heavy. You're like...
Yeah, she really knew it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of like, you know a lot.
Interesting point from the armor in this one is the Mando steel used for a weapon implied a threat to Mandalorian, so they melt it down. I did not see that coming, and it looks like Grogu is going to get a little chain shirt or something like that, a little mithril shirt or something.
And the little package was in the shape of his head.
It was. It was like
know,
it was like
so
fine
touching.
Mickey. It was like little fine Grogu ears. I do wonder. Back to the armor because she's like bugging me. Whether the whole "we don't take our buckets off" thing is actually self-serving because we don't want people. She doesn't want people to see who she is.
You think? Oh, I wonder how far back the cult mentality goes. Like, did she find that and amplify it, kind of thing? Good point.
Yeah, like is that to keep her identity
In
under wraps, kind of thing?
which case, maybe it is someone we know.
Who is she?
So anyway, she casts Din out of the cult. You're no longer Mandalorian. So, and then he goes with it and he leaves. But as soon as he gets to the airport to go to Tatooine, he still says I'm Mandalorian. He recycles another line. Weapons are part of my religion. So yeah, he's either not abiding by that decision or it's old habits. But like according to her, you're not Mando anymore.
I think he knew he couldn't be with them because he, took the bucket off, which, I mean, he could have fucking lied about. She'd never known. But I think that he knows that there is much more to be Mandalorian now than what he thought.
I had a note here saying, okay, if he's cast out of being Mandalorians, like by a cult of two, I guess, I was like, what would that mean for Mandalorians trying to rally behind him? Like, there's probably going to be a wide spectrum of opinions, like, oh, who cares about that old culty rule? And like, oh, you know what? He's not Mandalorian. He can't be Mandalore. So it's going to create this blanket of confusion going into Mando Season 3 they're going to have to deal with.
She's like, you can only regain your Mandalorianishness if you bathe in the waters underneath Mandalore. Like, well, hello, reason to go to Mandalore.
Right.
Yeah, that's his next quest. Yeah, you're right.
Plus the Darksaber. But I wonder, like, we don't know how many Mandalorians even know or follow that rule. Anyway, right? Like, it could legitimately be the two of them.
Yeah, which is going to seem ridiculous, but yeah, there's got to be more out there when that's like season 3 is going to be all about gathering these Mandos, right? So I think we're going to get a lot of those answers.
I think there's 3 of them left because didn't 2 people help Din and one of them wasn't the armorer?
I thought it was just like tanky guy, and I think it was just him because he was like, because the Beskar was like, because the burn, it wasn't just that it was his leg. The Beskar, by the looks of things, actually sealed to his leg, and they had to take it off, which was kind of icky.
No, that was just his pant leg. It missed the.
No, I don't think so. If you look at it when he's lifting that plate off, I don't think so. I think that was stuck to his leg.
Took a good chunk of meat off either way. It was a big wound.
It's still, yeah, like it's like you could. I mean, Luke lost a hand, but it's still, and sure, it cauterized it, but. Lost a hand.
I like how he checks the Darksaber as luggage, gives into this fucking droid.
He flies coach.
Yeah.
I know what is in here. It better be here when I come back.
And the little Rhodian kid looking behind him in the seat. Like, that's so relatable.
That was great. That was great. And I liked the follow through once he took the ship up.
Yes. Yeah, unexpected ship replacement. Fucking N1. I saw it and I was like, I've flown that ship. I've got a little toy. I was like, that's a real N1 starfighter. What the fuck?
Well, it's funny because it's not a very good bounty hunter ship.
Not at all. No, it isn't. It's a great fighter.
I mean, it's fast, but yeah.
Somebody is perplexed that he's going to get a bigger carrier type ship and then use the N1 as like a driving around.
Enjoyed the muscle car fucking engine top part to it.
It was good.
We got to see X-Wing pilot Mr. Kim was back. I think we're going to see more of him. I hope we do. I like him.
You sound familiar.
That's when Din starts sweating. It's funny because earlier you said Din could have lied about taking his helmet off, but Din, he's not really a liar, right? Except when he's on the radio with the cops. Then he's a lying son of a bitch.
But he's not good at it. Like, I think that's the problem. He's not good. Like, like his bluff, nothing. It's like he's rolling Phoenix stuff for bluff. He's like, yes, I am.
The Phoenix usually gives up halfway through and starts shooting.
Yes, well, I think he was probably almost there and then realized it was a bad idea.
So we returned to Tatooine. So did anybody, Christ, did you hear anything if this little BD-1 droid was in fact supposed to be Cal Kestis' droid? Has anybody heard anything?
I mean, it's the same class, but I don't think it's the same droid, though.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. Although it did have R5 was there, old Skippy the Jedi droid from Episode 4. He still got the hole in his dome for where he blew it in Episode 4. Nice touch.
It was fun watching them work on that. It was a little over the top, and we got a little Muppety again.
Yes, I felt that the build scene, while fun to watch, it ran too long.
Yeah.
And it made the mechanics seem too nutty, almost. Like,
yeah. Yeah, like, oh, she's wacky. So wacky.
But Kelly is supposed to come off as super wacky. She's dated a Jawa, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, that was unexpected. They're so furry. Like, I'm okay.
Yeah, it didn't. Oh.
All right, then.
Some books in Star Wars should be left on the shelf, and that's one of them.
I was amused that she spoke fluent Jawa.
Yeah. Not bad either. It's convincing. So what else I got here? If it's Fett, not even in this episode. Fennec didn't show up till the very end. Asks for some help with the muscle, and he's like on the house. So I think this is going to start a cycle of honored favors between Din and Fett. And so when Fett gets all set up and he's done feeding people to the Rancor and he has to go return the favor to Din, I feel like we'll see him. And that's going to be interesting because if Fett shows up with his history, Jango the Clones and all that, there's got to be a lot of Mandalorians not crazy about the Fett bloodline. You know, like, they're going to be like, what are you doing here? You're not even Mandalorian. And he'll be like, I'm here to help a friend. You know, it'll be like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did it on the house. That's non-Mandalorian right there. That's a debt of honor, I guess.
Well, yeah, I think it was all about the debt, too. Plus, I think he actually likes Boba Fett. And I mean, honestly, what's not to like? I mean, it's the first time he's actually probably met a Mandalorian who's not
fucking crazy.
Like, don't take your bucket off. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't fucking do this. They're just like, yeah, okay, let's just kill them. Okay, good. Like, and plus, I mean, Boba Fett, even in Mandalorian, when we were first kind of rediscovering him, was very obviously a guy about honor. So I think that's something that
I was trying to see if the N1 had any cargo capacity whatsoever by looking at the exploded version from Phantom Menace, like the schematic. It doesn't. Other than the droid slot, that's like its only cargo.
Which is, you know, where Grogu's going.
Grogu's going.
Well, yes. She's like, I took out the droid slot because I know of your particular proclivities, but like, why did you put a glass dome over the top of it then, Pelly? It's because you know that Grogu's going to end up there.
He's going to have to strap people to the hood of his car when he brings them in. Everyone's going to be bringing in cold.
Right? Like, there's not going to be an option. Sorry.
They just stuffed them in the droid hole, and he's just like, "Sorry, Grogu, I gotta go pick somebody up warm this time, so I gotta use the hole." And they just he just stuffed them in there.
Drive on Daddy's nap.
Oh, I don't want to hear stuffed in the droid hole ever again.
That's the title.
There you go.
There's the title.
Cut his catchphrase. So the ship goes really fast. That's really awesome. We didn't even detect his hyperdrive firing up. That was his sublight.
He's got some good inertial dampeners on that thing. That would have turned you into spaghetti.
The funnier thing about this N1 is I think this N1 is actually more heavily armed than the Razor Crest. I'm looking at it. It's got a pair of laser cannons and then torpedoes. I know, it's an interesting choice. I don't know if it was why they decided to that. If it was a nostalgia thing. I thought for a second she was going to throw the cover back off the pod racer, but then I'm like, oh no, we saw that engine as a speeder already, so it's definitely not that.
It's purely for the Grogu Mandalorian spread. Like, they're going to have it so that he gets him back in this, and he's going to have him here, and there's going to be a big swell of music. And I don't know, I don't do scoring. And it's just going to have his little head pop up in the droid hole, and then it's going to cut, and that's how one of the episodes is going to end.
the first episode of Mandalorian is gonna be him dropping off the little chainmail necklace, whatever it was they made.
How is season 3 going to start? Is it going to resume immediately back on the bridge of that Star Destroyer? And we see exactly how Bo-Katan and Mando did or did not duke it out for the saber? Like, for all we know, Bo-Katan could have made an attempt for it and he beat her. And then just said, fuck you, I'm going my own way because of that. And that's where he ends up on wherever. I mean, somebody had to drive him there, I guess, because he's got to fly coach now.
He's just going around on the bus. He's on the Space Greyhound. The
Sprayhound.
No, that doesn't work.
No,
That's
no.
the Greyhound.
Sorry.
I thought it was also interesting that we now know that the armorer's tools are made out of Beskar.
Yeah, she rang Din's bell pretty good in their sparring there. I enjoyed that.
Well, she deflected lightsaber with them, so presumably they're made of Beskar.
Yeah, she deflected lightsaber real well.
I guess she technically gets away with it because they're tools, not weapons. And it's also not pointy. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Oh, we saw her crack open stormtrooper skulls with it, so yeah, it definitely is.
Man, something about her. Just, I don't know. There's something.
It's just interesting that the moment that she sees that he has a Beskar weapon, she's like, I immediately need to make sure that you do not have that. It's like she just stripped him down to make sure that she could control him. So it even leads me to believe that she's really more of a figurehead, and she had I feel like she had a big part in whatever, I'm not sure like what Mandalorian history is or whatever, but like if there was a government at any point in the last blah 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 while she would have been alive, I feel like she was somewhere in there. There's no way that she's that worldly about a lot of that stuff without some serious background in that.
Of the original coven of Mandalorians from season 1, we never really found out how many of those are foundlings and how many of those were like actual Mandalorians that lived on Mandalore before like the Purge and the Clone Wars and all that jazz, right? Because what if the armorer is like the one Death Watch member and everybody else is a foundling and knows nothing of Mandalore other than what she tells them being a Mandalorian is, and she is literally, I don't want to say making it up as she goes, but like crafting this narrative in the way that suits her the best, or the way that she wants people to act or remember it as.
She seems to just involved in it. Like she does know enough about actual Mandalorian history and Mandalorian stuff to be able to do that, but I don't know if she's like Bo-Katan and stuff. They knew of her, or they at least knew of that sect of Mandalorian religion. She's like, one of them. Like the ones that are, so that is a thing. They know that is a part of classic Mandalorian ancient history of like basically really primitive stuff, essentially.
See, I don't know. I like that's why I keep kind of wondering if it goes back to, like, I don't know. The only person that makes sense to me right now that she could be is Sabine's mom. That is the only person that makes any sense to me right now.
Yeah, but I doubt it because she
was
didn't
kind of a
follow
bitch.
normal, and she and Bo were like besties.
They were besties until, the belief that brought the world to shit.
That's fair.
Led to the destruction of their,
The problem I have kind of with the whole fall of Mandalore as well, or the Purge, is that at max, it was 10 years ago. Because Mandalore is still around in Rebels, and Rebels ends like a year before A New Hope. So, like, and that's only less than 10 years past where we are right now. So, like,
I was just flipping through Wikipedia, as one does, and about the decline, the devastation of Mandalore. So, Sabine actually said, once upon a time, these plains were covered with grass, but I never saw it. The destruction happened before I was born. So
theory, like just wild theory, what if it's like kind of like a Hail Hydra type of scenario? Like it was a slightly secret one. Like there was rumors of them, but they never really knew or whatever. And it was kind of like bringing up through, and she was in a higher level of the government, but played it off really well. I don't know.
They're definitely a fanatical offshoot of the Death Watch itself. I mean, their names are Sons of the Watch, but I'm not sure in the new canon how far back the Death Watch goes. I imagine pretty far, but
I always go by the casting, and the fact that they've casted somebody who's really super good for such a small bit role is always like a really weird indicator for me. I'm just like, that's someone to keep an eye on, because they have had much larger roles in the past, and it just, they always seem like, that's why I'm keeping an eye on Jennifer Beals, right? Jennifer? Yes, because like has led series before. She has had headlining movies. Like she is not a small name, and for her to have like just a casual off the cuff part, it's just like, nope, there's something else there. So it's how I solve like crime shows in like 10 minutes. In the first 10 minutes, you just see like the first like person who's had more than just like an extra line. You're like, there it is.
You're very important.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't pay all kinds of money for you to just be in the background.
Yeah, because the Death Watch would have existed in the time of the Clone Wars, so that's like 30 years ago at this point, like at the start of the Clone Wars. So yeah, she's like easily, I mean, she might have been 10, but like yeah, it's conceivable she's around, but somewhere between 40 and 50. 30 would be too young, I think.
Yeah.
she'd be around Han Solo age, because the twins would be around in their 30s after post Jedi, right? So, and Han Solo was a couple years older than that.
Kylo is 5 years old right now, for anybody who wants to keep that.
That's right.
Interesting.
Could you imagine if there's a throwaway line when Din sees Grogu again? He's like, "You doing all right? Is that dark-haired boy still bullying you?"
See, this is what I mean, right? Where on earth is Mandalorian Season 3 going to start from? Because, like, they're still on the Star Destroyer. We've got Din goes to wherever Luke is to see Grogu. Or do we have wherever Din's at the end of Boba Fett? Where is it? Or is it going to be like a little bit from here, a little bit from here, and then keep going from here? Like, I don't...
That first episode of Mando Season 3 is going to be so anticipated, and like we're just going to be dying to see it.
I feel like it might be something like does he know where Grogu is going? Because Luke...
That was a big concern of mine. When Luke left, he's like, he didn't leave, like, here's my phone number, nothing. He's like, good luck, LOL, I'm taking your kid.
Exactly. So I feel like he's going to be looking for him, and that's where he's going to be going. Like, he's going to go and say, hey, right, shit, where do I go? And then, like, he's going to follow around, but things are going to happen throughout that has to do with the Darksaber and stuff. Like, there's going to be other plots and everything, but I feel like he's going to be trying to get him back, and shit keeps getting in his way.
Problem is, at the end of the episode, after Fennec invites him to the job, in true Din Djarin fashion, he says, I'll help, but I have to go do a side quest first. Presumably that would be Grogu, so I think he knows where he is.
Because I suck at timelines. Like, how much into the future did this stuff happen where the Jedi babies were slaughtered?
Somewhere between 20 to 25 years from now.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how old Grogu is then.
Over 50.
No, but I mean, like when he finishes Jedi school.
Well, how old's Kylo when he destroys the temple? He's like 15 or 16 or something, so that's 10 years or so from now at least in the timeline. I think Grogu's going to be long gone from that temple before that event occurs, whether his training finishes or not.
They just Photoshop Mando's like ship coming into the background, just swoop when they replay it, and he just scoops him up as like the whole thing's just going.
No, I swear to God, if they do a thing where the Din goes to see Grogu, it probably won't show Luke, but if they do something like show a CGI Carrie Fisher or something and we all start crying, I'm going to be so mad.
Yeah, so it's 10 ABY right now. So Kylo is 5 years old.
What's ABY?
After Battle of Yavin, that's after the first Death Star got destroyed.
So in 15 ABY, he joins Luke's new academy. So 5 more years, Kylo's not with Luke yet. Not for another 5 years.
So Grogu is going to bully him.
Let's be honest.
Stealing his cookies.
Kylo does not burn down the Jedi Temple until he's 23.
Oh, so that's quite a big gap then. Grogu could be a fucking knight by then. Oh man. Oh no. Oh god, the theory I just had, because they mentioned it in this episode, how the first, I can't remember what the Mandalorian's name was. He was both Jedi and Mandalorian. That's what Grogu's gonna be. Grogu's gonna be the new Mandalore.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
That
One
would
that
be
can't
cool.
Wait, but he can only is that mean that he's eventually going to get the Darksaber? Because I don't like how that's going to happen unless somebody defeats Din. Unless somebody defeats Din and then Grogu just eats them and then immediately just gets the sword.
Unless they accept the fact that it's a bullshit rule and that this whole bad luck thing about what happens is crap, and that you're really better off picking your leaders not by some sort of weird magic ritual where you pull a sword out of a lake.
Really? Really? How is that going for us, Farida? How's that going for
Don't
us
start
right
the
now?
Monty Python thing.
Better. Like, didn't work out well for the King Arthur, and
I declared myself Mandalore because some shiny bint lobbed the Darksaber at me. They put me away.
I don't think... So up until this point, right, Grogu is a prop more than he is a character. You know what I mean? I just think they'll never... I don't think they'll ever give him a voice, because I doubt that anybody they pick to voice act him is going to work really well. Because, like, how can he go from, like, Goo Goo Gaga Baby to speaking...
Like a Pokemon evolution style. We don't know anything about their lifestyle. He could have a full Sailor Moon transformation with like prisms and stuff.
If the moment Grogu talks, he's dead. It's like when that's what they said about talkies back in the 20s and shit, right? Like it would be his popularity would go down for sure the moment he stopped being Goo Goo Gaga.
the terrible stuff where it's like the moment that somebody says, "You know what? I'm really happy. And I love you, friend." Oh.
Oh, the death flags. Death flags for days.
Anvil from the sky, piano from a building.
And the cool thing about the show is that it's called The Mandalorian. Like, there's nothing to say it's always going to have to be about Din. Like, it could be like a Doctor Who scenario where they just keep cycling through them. There's nothing to say that it's just Din.
I'm kind of, like I recognize that I am in the minority, but I'm a little over Grogu. I'm a little over him.
I think it would be cool if, like, Grogu had an evolution. Like, I would be down for that. I'm sure some people wouldn't be, but it's like, as long as we don't have to go through the bratty kid and teenage scenario, like, as long as we can skip that. Like, it's just like you kind of go, oh, like, he's wise and stuff, and then you have that, like, Yoda-level sass back, because that's just their personalities on a baseline. There, you got your comedic relief.
I think that's actually would be a great way to handle Grogu as he grew up. Just no voice. He just, maybe his trauma has actually rendered him mute. Maybe. Totally valid reason. But like if he was just like this smiling, chubby little wise Buddha who pulled off miracles every once in a while and just kind of giggled and ate a cookie, like.
I just figured out what I want to hear the most. All I want to hear is Din say, "What are you asking me for? You're older than me."
Like, I wonder if we're going to find out that how Yoda spoke is how they speak.
You just find out Yoda had an old war injury.
Yeah, like some sort of speech impediment. And then
Like, the first thing he says, it's either going to be like, "Hi, Dada," or like, "Dada, you are," kind of thing. Like, we're good. That's how we're going to figure it out. It's just like,
Full my diaper is.
What's it going to be?
Sweaty your helmet is.
I like when they do speak. Din does. I keep forgetting Din does this, and every time he does it, it's still a delight. But the way they speak is almost like this old English style. It's very formal and precise, and it just cracks me up. I dig it though. I really do.
What I want to see is the armorer versus like running into Bo-Katan or something, like, because she has zero time for any of that, and the armor is going to be all on pomp and circumstance. So that would just be a really interesting fly on the wall.
And I want to see if they recognize each other. Well, I mean, I'm quite sure the armor will recognize Bo, just because you don't know if her armor stayed the same, right? Because if somebody's not taking off their buckets, I mean, as long as she recognizes the voice.
I don't think she changed that. That is very specific.
See, that's why I wonder if she changed it. That's what I wonder if she changed it then. If the horns and all of that stuff happened after she became the armorer.
Yeah, like maybe Bo's like, oh, you changed your helmet and started a cult, huh? Like,
Yeah, nice, right? Like, because the
Yeah.
addition of the fur and like I don't know. I just don't think that's how she was running around Mandalore at all.
if I was writing for the CW or something, I would say she's Bo's sister or some shit.
Well, that's what I like, but she can't be Satine.
Yeah, I guess it'd be
So-
cheap if they shoehorned in one we didn't know about.
Right? Like, it's the sister no one spoke of.
The crazy one that smoked dope in college and started a cult in Darth Maul.
It's like I can see they could find a way to make Satine pissed.
Not dead?
Well, I mean, first they'd have to make her not dead.
You know what? They made Darth Maul
literally
not
a
dead, and look how that turned
Right?
out.
They can do that. They can find a way. But because she was always portrayed as the sweet one, to have her end up starting a cult is a bit of a stretch, but it would definitely be an interesting reveal.
Dude.
And how would Obi-Wan feel about that? Gotta ask.
Nothing, because he's dead.
Yes.
Dead.
Force Ghost, is he dead? And you don't know how long she's been the armorer, I guess.
An
Like, has
armorer of what? Like, was she the armorer back on Mandalore, or was she the armorer
I don't think
just
so.
there? Like, how did she get that name?
Yeah, I don't think so, because from what we know, she was.
Did he ever mention the armorer to Bo in their time together? Because they talked about their religion a little bit.
Yeah,
Well, they knew he was one of them the moment he did that.
Mhm.
yeah. But like, that's the thing, I guess, is one of them. Like, are they a very tiny sect? And then saying that he's one of them means they automatically knew the armorer, or they're like a whole bunch of these little sects, and she's just one of like a bunch, so they wouldn't necessarily know her. I love Bo-Katan so much.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, FB memory popped up, which apparently I wrote, and it is 100% relevant today as it was last year. So with your kind indulgence, I shall read it to you, in the hopes of creating a little more solidarity with our mental health journeys. Okay, so this was written last year during one of those bullshit corporate days where they pretend to care about your mental health. So here goes. I have found empowerment about laying out my own fights in a very raw way, and I've been told it helps to read that you're not alone. The thing I want to get across this year, also to myself, is that while the war seems never ending, there's always hope, even if it comes in tiny little pieces. You have to give yourself credit for how far you've come. I look back on my own road in the last 6 or 7 years, and it's been quite a trip, and yet here I stand, defiantly and with metaphorical sword in hand. Everyone has pain in their past, and it's nearly impossible to climb out from it, especially when you could fall back in at any moment. And I fell long and deep into that pit. Endless sleepless nights, with one day blurring into the next, arguing with myself in two voices. One whispering to go, the other tearfully and quite literally yelling back no. The self-isolation, the hopelessness, the always expecting some other foot to drop. Depression and anxiety are a tag team dream team. Even on days when the darkness receded, anxiety still had me tiptoeing around, waiting for disaster to leap out and to fuck things up. It's a terrible thought, but I always figured someday, way down the road, I'd just have enough and check out. It's very dark, I know. I don't think that anymore. I did not get through it alone. I am lucky enough to have 2 families watching my back, even when I was the one trying to destroy myself. And I'm going to be honest with you, as far as I've come, there are still rough days, man. Days where I don't feel much anything at all, like I'm just pretending to be human, going through the motions. When I can't feel the simple joy of things I have always loved, and at best I can only distract myself for a while. But taking it one day at a time, one moment at a time, piece by tiny piece, I've been reclaiming myself. It feels impossibly slow sometimes, but it's happening. I give myself a little credit for fighting back. Some days I just look around and thank whoever the fuck is listening for the good things in my life. My mom and dad and sister, unwavering allies. Raina, who has accepted me scars and all, and is the light that burns the dark away. A little boy that looks up to me like I'm a superhero. A veritable army of Mandalorian brothers and sisters that I can trust and just be myself around and take the helmet off. I sometimes will find peace in quiet little moments where I just look out at the ocean or something and remember, yeah, things are okay and it's okay to be at peace. I don't have to spend every moment braced for whatever I think is coming. Not every day is easy, but I never gave up and I never will. I think about my lost other half, Jason, who is gone from this world way too soon, my first brother by choice and my best friend. He never gave up with everything he had to face, and I will carry his fire in my heart now. I know he's happy for me, and he wants our reunion to be a long time from now. It's hard to talk sometimes, let alone ask for help, and I've historically been guilty of this, but I have those I can trust to say, hey, I'm struggling right now. I just wanted to say that. And they're always right there for me. I'm grateful. The struggle is never ending, but this old dragon has become strong. I don't know if any of this will do you any good, but I felt like saying it. Even if I barely see you or only exchange a few words now and again, I give a fuck about you. I'd fight at your side or just sit at your side. It can feel dismissive to say everything's going to be okay, but it can be okay sometimes. The bad days will be there, but so will the good ones. So fight on, friends, and know that it's okay to call in backup when you need it. Much love to everybody. Well, thanks for hanging out today, folks. We got 2 episodes of Fett left, but there's so much geeky stuff on our plates this year. And Rain and I will soon be starting our big Clone Wars and Buffy watch through, so you can enjoy my complete noob status on all things Buffy. It should be pretty funny. Okay, take care and see you all next week. This is Vinzer Flinn, the 1978 Odor Eaters Bowling Champion, signing off.